You're listening to the Wired for Impact podcast. What people think of as money is actually just debt. We're just exchanging debt.
If you look at a $20 bill or a $1 bill or a $5 bill, I have one right here. I know most of your people are audio, but we'll do this for the video people. So if you look at the top of a Federal Reserve note, see here, it says Federal Reserve note, right?
Yep.
So what is the definition of the word note? You look that up in Black's Law, there's a whole bunch of definitions, right? The definition of note is a promissory note. So a note is just a promise to pay. That's the definition of note, right? So now you ask yourself, okay, it's a promise to pay. Who's paying who, right? The answer to that question is the corporation known as United States is promising to pay the Federal Reserve at some point in the future. So this is not money. This is actually just a contract that's made out of mostly cotton and fabric. It's not actually paper. People think that these are paper. They're actually mostly like cotton and fabric. That's why they have that kind of different feel. They don't feel like paper, right? There is some paper in here, but you can actually look up what is a Federal Reserve note made out of physically, and you can look that up. It's kind of interesting. So this is a promissory note, right? That's all it is, right? And they don't hide that. It says right on the fucking top and the front, Federal Reserve note. What's a note, right? So all you have to do is just, when you start going down the rabbit hole of what is a note and what is a promissory note, who can create promissory notes, how are they exchanged, and you start getting into all this stuff, you go down that rabbit hole long enough, and you're going to wind up in what's called the Negotiable Instruments Act of 1882. And basically, the word instrument means like a debt instrument or a note or a promissory note. It's all the same kind of wordage, right? Negotiable means exchangeable. So like, for example, this is a negotiable instrument. It's actually not money. And the reason why it's a negotiable instrument is because I can give this to you and you can give it to your friend and your friend can give it to their friend. And whoever holds this note possesses the value of the note. So it's negotiable. Now, if I write you a check, like if you open up your checkbook and you look on your check, not every single bank, but most banks, somewhere on your checkbook, it'll say non-negotiable. Does it say that anywhere on your check?
I'm looking at a check right now that I got from the bank when I first opened an account. And so these were not like, it was like literally when I first opened it, the day of. So I don't think.
Probably not. I mean,
it says it on here.
But a lot of checks say non-negotiable on it. They're non-negotiable because you're writing the check to a specific individual, to a specific person.
Mm.
So if I write a check to Peter, not anyone can go and just cash that thing, right? And that's why it's non-negotiable, because it's not easy to exchange. So a note or a promise to pay that's easy to exchange is called a negotiable instrument. Mm-hmm. And you can find a lot of information on the internet about it, but it all goes back to the Negotiable Instruments Act of 1882, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So the way it works is a promissory note is extremely simple. It's a promise to pay. You know, you can go online right now and you can type in what is a negotiable instrument composed of. And you can go to like Investopedia, you can go to like any of these websites and they'll teach you. It's very simple. It's like 5 or 6 elements. One of the things that a negotiable instrument has to have is it has to have the amount. Another thing that a negotiable instrument has to have is it has to say the amount in digits and words. That's why a check, you write out in words how much, and then you have the number on the side, because as per the Negotiable Instruments Act, you have to have both for it to be considered a negotiable instrument. It has to have a date on it or payable on demand. It has to have some sort of time-related element to it. It has to have a signature in order for it to be a negotiable instrument, right? So when you learn what a negotiable instrument is composed of, you sit back and you think about it for a moment and you say, my God, this is so simple. What's stopping me from creating negotiable instruments right now? And the answer is absolutely nothing. In fact, Congress, through the Emergency Banking Act of 1933, Congress has given you and completely supports your ability to create as much and as many negotiable instruments as you could ever want for your entire lifetime.
Give me an example of what somebody would do with that.
Well, basically, one day when you keep studying all this, you realize, and you wake up one day and you realize that you are a bank, and you are a bank that can produce as much money as you want whenever you want just by signing and drawing up simple contracts. And then you keep digging even farther, and then you find out that the Federal Reserve will take your negotiable instruments and exchange your negotiable instruments for Federal Reserve notes. And then you go even deeper, and then you realize that the banks can't actually deny your request for credit. It's actually illegal. So all you have to do is just draw up a fucking negotiable instrument for $20 million, give it to the bank denies you, and then you say, hey, wait a second, you actually can't deny me as per these particular laws. They go, oh shit, you're right, and then they give you your money. And they're not giving you any money. Banks never give you any money. All they're doing is it's basically a currency exchange. It's like exchanging French francs for Italian whatever, liras. I don't know what they are. You're exchanging your own manufactured negotiable instruments for a different type of negotiable instrument, which is these.
Yep.
Your promise to pay when you sign it is just as valuable as one of these. It's the same thing. It's the exact same thing in law. So then the rabbit hole gets deeper and you say, okay, how about a mortgage or a car loan? Well, on your mortgage, what did you do on your mortgage? You promised to pay. And did you sign that promise to pay? Well, yes, you did. So what happened to your mortgage agreement? Your mortgage agreement was a negotiable instrument. Where is it now? So the thing is, as soon as you signed your mortgage agreement, you technically just paid for the entire house in full, cash.
Listening to this episode of Wired for Impact. If you're interested in creating and expanding your impact, be sure to visit us online at impactnow.com.